Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a really interesting topic. It's a mysterious case. The case of Natalia Grace. This is the real case of the series The Good American Family. I haven't watched the series, but I've watched the documentary, so let's just start. Imagine this. You adopt a little girl from another country. She's sweet, small, and vulnerable. You think she is 6 years old, but as time goes on, things don't add up. She acts older, much older, and then one day you start to believe she's not a child at all. You think she might actually be an adult, pretending to be a kid. It sounds like a movie, right? But this is a real story, and it's one of the most confusing, controversial adoption cases we've ever seen. This is the story of Natalia Grace. Natalia Grace was born in Ukraine in 2003. She was diagnosed with a rare form of dwarfism that I put the name here because I don't know how to pronounce it. Because of her condition, she was placed in an orphanage as soon as she was born. In 2010, when she was supposedly 6 years old, she was adopted by an American couple living in Indiana, Christine and Michael Barnett. They were told that she needed a loving home, and the Barnetts, already parents to 3 boys, were excited to welcome a daughter. Now, before Natalia entered their lives, the Barnetts were actually considered a kind of model family. One of their sons, Jake, was a child genius who had autism, but was already studying physics at university by the time he was 12. The family would travel around the US with him, attending conferences and events. They had money, success, and were seen as very supportive and inspiring parents. Christine even wrote a book called The Spark, all about raising gifted kids. Financially, things were going well for them too. Big house, fancy cars, nice furniture, but most of all, they seemed to have a big heart. So when they heard about a little girl in Florida who needed a family, they didn't think twice. Here's when things started getting a little strange. When they got the call about Natalia, they flew to Florida and adopted her almost immediately, the same day in fact, which is highly unusual because adoptions normally take months or a lot of legal steps, home visits, and psychological evaluations. But it gets even weirder. Natalia had already been through around 30 foster homes before the Barnetts adopted her. 30. That's a huge number for someone who was supposedly only 6. Back in Indiana, Natalia seemed to adjust quickly. She played with her new brothers, was sweet, curious. For a little while, everything seemed okay, but soon Christine and Michael began to notice things that didn't make sense. They said Natalia had adult teeth, that she acted and talked in a very mature way. She didn't seem like a 6-year-old, not at all. And then it got darker. Christine claimed that Natalia once tried to pour bleach into her coffee. Another time, she said she found knives hidden under Natalia's bed, so they began to fear for their safety. Christine said Natalia once stood over their bed at night, just watching them sleep. So they took her to a doctor to estimate her real age. And the results, according to one report, Natalia was not a child. She was possibly around 22 years old. The Barnetts were shocked. They believed they had adopted a dangerous adult, pretending to be a child. That's actually so scary. In 2012, the Barnetts went to court and rescued that Natalia's birth be legally changed from 2003 to 1989. The court approved it just like that. Natalia was now legally 22. The Barnetts moved Natalia into her own apartment. She was now considered an adult, so technically they were no longer responsible for her. Then the whole family moved to Canada. They left Natalia behind in Indiana alone. Neighbors were confused, some were angry. They couldn't understand how someone who looked and acted like a child could be living by herself. She had trouble walking, cooking, and doing everyday tasks. The neighbors said that they started helping her, bringing her food, checking in on her. To them, she didn't seem like a 22-year-old. She seemed like a scared, abandoned little girl. Years later, Natalia started to speak publicly about what happened. In 2019, she appeared on Dr. Phil, a TV show, and shared her version of the story. She said she was never an adult, that she really was 6 when she was adopted, and that the Burnetts made everything up to get rid of her. But the story still had twists. Later, a 911 call came out where Natalia said she wanted to hurt her neighbors. That call made people question her story again. Was she a sweet, innocent girl, or was she hiding something? Eventually, a DNA test was done to compare Natalia's blood with her biological mother's in Ukraine. The results showed that she really was born in 2003. So yes, Natalia was a child when she was adopted. And that means the Burnetts had left a child to live alone. After that, more people started to come forward. The Burnetts' sons said their mom, Christine, was abusive. They said she treated Natalia horribly. Neighbors said they often heard her yelling at her husband. Some even said she was cheating on him. Eventually, Christine left Indiana and moved with her sons. More and more lies started to come out. And little by little, people began to question who the real villain in the story was. Today, Natalia is 21 years old. She lives with a new family in New York. She has a boyfriend and says she is working on becoming more independent. The story still raises many questions, and for some people, there are still doubts. But what we know now is that she was definitely not an adult when she was adopted. So what do you think? I think Natalia had really bad luck. She ended up with a family that didn't trust her and treated her unfairly. But at the same time, she may have done things that scared the family. Maybe out of pain, maybe out of confusion. Either way, I hope she can now live a peaceful life and finally feel safe and supported. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you want more stories like this one, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.